Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite Review. And Dynamite tonight, I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed Dynamite tonight from beginning to end. And Tony Khan was stating last week that this week's Dynamite was going to be one of the best Dynamites the fans are going to see. So, I say, it was a good show from beginning to end. AEW's just been on a roll, delivering, good shows through this outbreak of coronavirus that's going around. So at least they have, their superstars, their talents, at ringside, making noise through the matches, rooting for those guys having a match in the ring. When WWE is not having any of their superstars, at ringside making noise while their matches are going on. So you got to give AEW credit for going out and having some of their talent there at ringside making noise through matches, at least making them entertaining. But tonight we saw two semifinal matches to crown the first ever TNT champion, and it was Cody versus Darby Allin. And then the second one was Lance Archer versus Dustin Rhodes, which was the main event. And then we also saw a excellent match between the best friends, Chucky T and Trent, versus Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. It was a no disqualification, no countout match where everything went. There was chairs, there was a ladder that was used. But like I said, Dynamite was a very good show tonight. Really enjoyed it from beginning to end. So let's get started with the Dynamite review. So Dynamite opened up tonight, and we had a video package. And it was shown of Cody and Darby Allin's match that they had at Fyter Fest, which was their first match that they had. I haven't watched that show, but I heard that their match ended up going to a draw. So we saw, clips of that match. And Darby Allin ended up saying that he will do whatever it takes to win the TNT Championship. Cody ended up saying that he's currently ranked number 1, but he can't challenge for the AEW World Championship. And he says, he can't challenge for the AEW World Championship, making this tournament more important. And Cody ended up saying that he respects Darby Allin. The both of them respect each other. So Cody ended up saying that there won't be any respect going into their match. So it was a very good promo video package with Cody and Darby Allin. I liked how the way we saw, Cody's face and Darby Allin's face, like how that split screen with both Cody and Darby's, faces. I thought that was really awesome looking and very, well put together. So then we went to Tony Schiavone and Jericho. They end up welcoming us to Dynamite, and they go over what we're going to see tonight on Dynamite. So they announced both of the semifinal matches. They also talked about Jon Moxley being on, that he will be speaking. And we got, more of the Bubbly Bunch, which was, the third, I guess you could say, third episode of the Bubbly Bunch, which I have to say, this was one of the best Bubbly Bunches in the two that they did, which I will get to explain in. So then they also said that we're going to see Brodie Lee versus Marco Stunt. And we're going to get a injury update with MJF, on MJF's, injury. So they announced all that, Jericho and Shivani. And then we went to the first match. And it was the semifinal match for the TNT Championship. Cody versus Darby Allin. So Cody, Darby Allin made his way out first. And then Cody made his way out. Shawn Spears was there at ringside. He looked annoyed at Cody. So the match ended up happening. So he had Darby Allin and Cody working on each other, going back and forth. Cody ended up using a headlock and a shoulder tackle to take out Darby Allin. Went for the cover. Darby ended up kicking out of it. Both of them were out on the floor. Cody ended up tossing Darby Allin into the ring apron. Cody then ended up staring over at Shawn Spears. Darby Allin ended up launching himself at Cody, but Cody ended up moving out of the way, and Darby ended up taking out Brandy. Of course, it was Cody's wife. So Darby ended up sending Brandy into the barricade. So Darby ended up checking on Brandy, and Cody ended up dropping Darby Allin. Billy Gunn made his way out, helped Brandy back, to the back. Cody was shown continuing to beat up on Darby Allin. There was a point in the match where Cody got out of the ring, and he ended up getting smacked by one of Britt Baker's shoes. So the ref didn't even see that happen. So Darby Allin was out on the floor. He ended up throwing Cody back into the ring, ended up delivering a chop block. So Cody ended up recovering. He ended up doing a suplex and a kick to Darby Allin. Cody ended up taking off his weight belt, and he was deciding if he wanted to use the weight belt. But then he decided, against it. He decided against using his weight belt. So Cody then handed it to the referee, and Darby Allin was able to hit the Crossroads, Cody's finishing move. So Darby Allin ended up hitting that to Cody. Darby Allin ended up going for the 2 count, and Cody ended up kicking out of it. It would have been embarrassing, if they would have made Cody lose to his own finisher. So then Darby Allin ended up locking in the figure 4, which Cody is a move that Cody, uses from time to time. So Brandy ended up making her way back out, and she came out with a bottle of water. And so Cody ends up seeing Brandy. Brandy ends up handing over the water to Cody. Cody ends up taking a sip of the water. And then Darby Allin ends up taking it, smacks Cody with the bottle of water. And Darby Allin ended up going for a springboard. Cody ended up catching Darby Allin, ended up hitting a ripcord lariat. Darby Allin ended up hitting a cutter. And then he went for a moonsault. Cody ended up catching Darby Allin, ended up delivering the Crossroads. Cody went for the cover. Darby ended up kicking out a 2. So Cody then heads to the top rope. And he tries to go for a coffin drop. So Cody does the coffin drop. Darby Allin ends up getting his knees up. So Darby Allin ends up heading to the top to deliver his own coffin drop. So we got a double coffin drop from Cody and Darby Allin in this match. So Darby Allin end up delivering the coffin drop to Cody. It connected. So Cody end up rolling Darby Allin over with a backslide pin. So there you go. Cody end up winning the match. He advances to the finals for the TNT Championship. And the match itself, it was a good match from the beginning, but the ending, I'm like, yeah. I said a lot of times. I said, plenty of times that I want to see Darby Allin be the first ever TNT champion. And my pick for this whole tournament and the first ever TNT champion would go to Darby Allin. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. AEW did something, different. And they made Cody win the match tonight, defeating Darby Allin. So, it was the wrong person to win the match. I mean, I wanted to see Darby Allin win the whole thing because Darby Allin, when you look at Darby Allin, he is championship material. When we had a crowd, he was over with the crowd. And, like I said, the guy is championship, material right there. He deserves to hold one of the AEW championships, whether he challenges Moxley for the World Championship, which hopefully that, will happen in the future, or become the first ever TNT champion. And unfortunately, we're not gonna see that. We're not gonna see Darby Allin be the first ever, TNT champion. So, but the match was good. A little disappointed on who won. I mean, Cody is not bad. I like Cody. He's good in the ring. But I really would have loved to have seen Darby Allin win this whole tournament. Overall, it was a good match. It was a good match from Cody and Darby Allin. So then we had a promo from Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky, he was talking about how he joined up with Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels to make SCU. So Scorpio Sky ended up saying that he was happy to join up, but he didn't want to be just the third guy after that they had been working together for a while. Sky ended up saying that changed when the Worst Town bit came together. He ended up saying that they have been a big part of his growth as a performer. So Scorpio Sky ended up saying that he doesn't want to be good or great. He ended up saying that he wants to be a fucking legend. So it was a good promo from Scorpio Sky, and we saw clips of Scorpio Sky. Again, a shot at Chris Jericho. That was when Jericho was the AEW World Champion. It was a good promo from Scorpio Sky. And so then we had the injury update from MJF. MJF, he was at home. He ended up saying that he was able to rehab his severe hangnail. He said not only heal up, but overheal and have the strong nail in the world, which his doctor ended up telling him. So MJF ended up saying that he was ready to come back to the ring, and he was getting ready for his return And he said while shaving, he nicked his neck and can't return. So MJF then ended up taking off his scarf, and it was revealed that he was wearing a neck brace. And he ended up saying that he was totally ready to jump on a German-infested plane and wrestle in front of 6 or 7 of his peers, who he totally respects. So MJF ended up saying that he'll be back, though, and be that light to lead the way. And I can't wait for MJF to return soon. Miss seeing him in the ring. But MJF, one of the best heels in the business. But can't wait to see him come back, be good, and see him back in the ring. And then we had the second match of the night. Warlow, MJF's buddy, his manager, Warlow, versus Musa. Now, Musa is part of, I think, AEW Dark. He wrestled a match on Dark, which I don't watch Dark. But this was another squash match for Wardlow. For Warlow, for them to build him up and to make him look strong. So Warlow just destroyed Musa. He was tossing Musa around the ring. And Warlow ended up picking Musa up. Musa ended up getting down. He ended up punching Warlow right in the face, which bad decision. So Musa ended up trying for another punch, but he ended up getting a knee from Warlow in the midsection. Musa ended up delivering a springboard kick, which stunned Warlow. Warlow then picked Musa up, jammed him into the corner, and Warlow then put Musa on the top rope, grabbed him by the throat, and dragged him right down into a knee strike. Warlow then won the match by hitting a twisting F5 on Musa to score the win. So Warlow wins the match, and I'm not surprised. They're building up Warlow to be this big, strong guy. I mean, Warlow's doing his best without MJF around. And then we went to the Bubbly Bunch. And this is the third episode of the Bubbly Bunch. And I gotta say, this was one of the best out of the two that they last did. So, and this was hilarious. This whole thing was hilarious. I was laughing hysterically throughout this whole thing. So, the Inner Circle was FaceTiming about the film Flam Dance, which we saw last week on Dynamite, which Sammy Guevara ended up winning. So we were showing Sammy Guevara got his bottle of hand sanitizer, that Walgreens hand sanitizer. So the Inner Circle ended up arguing on who actually won the dance. And Jericho ends up saying that it doesn't really matter who won, and that they need to stand together to stay strong as a group. So Jericho ends up saying that the group should battle each other to do so. And it goes to other members of the AEW roster. And then we see Jericho's dad, and celebrities were involved here. Like we saw Lou Ferrigno, we saw Fluffy, Gabriel, I think it was, Gabriel Iglesias. We saw, Fluffy. And we also saw Jay and Silent Bob, Kevin Smith. We saw Virgil. we actually got to see Vicky Guerrero. Vicky Guerrero ended up making a little cameo here, saying, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It was funny. I was waiting for her to say, excuse me! But Jericho ends up telling everyone to stop. And he says that was one of the best Mantobia melees ever. And then the Bubbly Bunch segment ended up ending, but really hilarious Bubbly Bunch segment from beginning to end. This was one of the best that they did so far. I like that they had celebrity involvement in it. With Lou Ferrigno being in there, and Gabriel Iglesias. And it was cool seeing Vicky Guerrero pop up there for a little bit. And then after that, we went to the no disqualification, the no DQ, and no countout match between Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian versus the Best Friends, Chucky T and Trent. And they came out along with, of course, freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. Of course, Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian came out, of course, with Penelope Ford. And this was an awesome match. This was the best match of the night, in my opinion. So the match started off with Jimmy Havoc and Sabian sent out of the ring. Trent ended up doing a flip over the top rope. He took out both Havoc and Sabian. Jimmy Havoc ended up grabbing a chair, ended up going to whack Chucky T with it, but he turned around and he ended up launching the chair into Orange Cassidy's face, which Orange Cassidy was then laid out. Havoc ended up beating up on Chucky T. He ended up suplexing Chucky T on chairs. Trent ended up delivering a spear to Jimmy Havoc. Sabian ended up hitting Trent with a flip that he did over the top rope. Havoc then ended up throwing a chair into Chucky T's face on the outside. And Sabian ended up sending Trent chest first into the corner. And then we saw a ladder was now being introduced into the ring. So Chucky T ended up getting launched into the chair. And Jimmy Havoc, ended up biting him. Ended up biting Chucky T, which was crazy. So then he ended up tagging in Kip Sabian. Sabian ended up delivering a kick to the back of Chucky T's, no, not Chucky T, of Trent's head. And Havoc ended up following up. Havoc ended up delivering a poke to Trent's eyes. And Sabian ended up kicking Trent to the back. And Havoc ended up tossing the ladder down on Trent. And we see Jericho on commentary. He ended up saying that he's a fan of Havoc. And Shivani ended up asking if the Inner Circle is going to be adding new members. And Jericho on commentary ended up saying that Havoc isn't good looking enough for the group. Which I laughed at, which was funny. So then we had Havoc using a chair to fight off Chucky T and Trent. But he ends up eating a high knee from Chucky T. So the Best Friends end up getting a chair. Both of them throw it at Havoc. And they go on for a hug. Orange Cassidy was still laid out. So then we had Chucky T end up wedging a chair into the corner. Kip Sabian ends up throwing Chucky T into the chairs. So Trent ended up delivering a DDT on Sabian. Trent ended up delivering a chair shot to the back of Havoc. And then there was a point in the match where Kip Sabian ends up grabbing Orange Cassidy because Orange Cassidy ends up running up. He ends up throwing a chair at Havoc. So Sabian ends up grabbing Cassidy from behind. Penelope Ford ends up trying to deliver a kick, and she ends up taking out Sabian. So Penelope Ford ended up trying for a spear. Cassidy ended up moving out of the way. Orange Cassidy ended up moving out of the way. She ended up taking out Sabian. So Havoc and Orange Cassidy were on the top rope, and Cassidy ended up crashing down on both Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford. He ended up taking the both of them out on the outside. Chucky T ended up going over, and he hits a pile driver on Havoc on chairs that were set up. A lot of chairs that were set up in the middle of the ring. So he ended up delivering a pile driver, gets the pin on Havoc. So there you go. The best friends, Chucky T and Trent, end up winning the match. But this was an awesome match from beginning to end. Really enjoyed it. This was the best match of the night. I couldn't keep my eyes, off of what was going on in this match. It was just awesome. So then, after that, we saw Britt Baker. Britt Baker was getting ready. She gets her makeup done. She introduces Reba, which, her name is Rebel. So Rebel ends up talking to the camera. And Britt Baker ends up stopping her and tells her that they need to talk in private. So Baker ends up saying that to do what she says, she can get her big break. So Baker then ends up talking about rules of being a role model. She ends up saying rule number 2, not everybody can be a role model. And that things are not okay. So she ends up saying things are not okay. Glasses wearers, fat people, and people with a snaggle tooth. So then we see a picture of Tony Schiavone, which was funny though, but it was a okay promo from Britt Baker. So then we saw Shawn Spears versus Baron Black. Baron Black. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But this was a short match. The match went back and forth between the both of them. Spears ended up getting some strikes on Black. Ended up delivering a chop to Black's chest in the corner. Spears ended up delivering a spine buster to Black in the middle of the ring. Spears then ended up hitting a snap suplex to Black. So, the end of the match, Shawn Spears ended up winning the match and he ended up locking in the sharpshooter on Baron Black to score the win. So Shawn Spears ends up winning. Short match. Easy win for Shawn Spears. And then we saw Brodie Lee versus Marco Stunt. And my God, did Marco Stunt take a beating in this match from Brodie Lee. This was a good match. I mean, it was a short match, but it was enjoyable. You had Marco Stunt end up starting the match off by slapping Brodie Lee in the face, which that was a no-no that Marco Stunt did. Brodie Lee is the exalted one. So Marco Stunt was then avoiding strikes from Brodie Lee, ends up taking a kick from Brodie Lee. Brodie Lee then started delivering chop to Marco Stunt in the corner, end up choking him a bit. And Brodie Lee ended up stepping on Marco Stunt's neck, which was brutal. Ended up delivering a back elbow to Marco Stunt. He then launched him across the ring. Referee was checking on Marco Stunt. Brodie Lee was out of the ring. And Marco Stunt tried to go for a suicide dive, but Brodie Lee ended up catching him and delivered a super kick. And Brodie Lee was back in the ring. Referee was starting a 10 count for Marco Stunt to get back into the ring. Marco Stunt got back into the ring when the referee counted at 9. And Brodie Lee then picked up and throwed Stunt, and he landed on his feet. Stunt landed on his feet. So Stunt ended up doing a leap off the second rope. Brodie Lee then ended up swinging him to the mat, ended up swinging Marco Stunt into the mat to the canvas. Then Brodie Lee won the match, ended up delivering a powerbomb to Marco Stunt. So there you go, Brodie Lee ended up winning the match, but man, what a beating that Marco Stunt got from Brodie Lee in this match. It was crazy. I mean, seeing Brodie Lee step on Marco Stunt's neck was brutal. Overall, it was a short match, but it was a good one. So then we saw Jon Moxley. He was cutting a promo. He was saying that it's amazing 8 weeks ago that he was in a sea of fans celebrating his win with the AEW World Championship. Celebrating his win in the crowd. So Moxley ends up wondering what the hell happened since then. He ends up saying, tough times don't last forever. And that one day, everyone will be back together. So Moxley was then reflecting and is thankful for a lot of things. He ends up saying that he's thankful for things like steel chairs and his wife. Of course, referencing his wife, Renee Young. So Moxley ends up saying that next week, Dynamite will be live. And that he will be there. So there you go. Moxley will be on Dynamite next week. So Moxley ends up saying that anyone who steps up to him does so at their own risk. So Moxley ends up reminding the fans to check out on their neighbors, support their local businesses, and he ends up saying, don't forget to call your grandmother. But decent, good promo from Moxley. Glad that he will be on Dynamite next week. And then it was announced that Jericho and Shivani announced that next week Moxley will be in a match, and he will be taking on Frankie Kazarian. And this is going to be a non-title match. The AEW World Championship is not going to be on the line next week, so we're going to be seeing that. And so they also say that MJF is going to be returning next week. So that should be good. And then we're going to get Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy versus Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. And it's going to be a street fight. So that's going to be an awesome match next week to see. I mean, Kenny Omega teaming up with Matt Hardy. That's a good team right there. But that's going to be, that's what we're going to be seeing on Dynamite next week. And it's going to be live. And then we went to the main event. The main event was the semifinal match, the tournament for the TNT Championship. Last semifinal match. And it was Dustin Rhodes versus Lance Archer. And the winner of the match will get to face Cody at Double or Nothing. And the winner will be, of course, the first ever TNT champion. And this was a very good match between the both of them. This match was insane. We had both Dustin and Archer end up in the ropes. Archer end up trying to go for a punch to Dustin. Dustin end up countering with a bunch of strikes to Lance Archer. He ended up going for a shoulder tackle. Archer then ended up hitting one to Dustin, sending him out to the floor. Of course, Brandi Rhodes came out along with Dustin here. So Brandi ended up checking on Dustin while he was out on the floor. And Dustin ended up flipping off of the apron, taking out Lance Archer, which was cool. And Archer then ended up recovering. He ends up grabbing a chair. Dustin ended up knocking the chair away. So Dustin ended up trying to use the chair. But Archer was shown kicking it away. So Dustin was busted open. He was completely bleeding. And Archer ended up was shown continuing to beat up on Dustin. Threw him down on the announce table. And then to the ring post. And Archer ended up kept on attacking Dustin. Archer ended up delivering a suplex. And he ended up digging away at the wound on Dustin. And Dustin was able to get Archer up into the corner. Ended up hitting the Shattered Dreams. Dustin ended up trying to go for a knee drop. But Archer ended up moving out of the way. So then towards the end of the match, you had Cody comes out. So Archer ended up landing a boot to Dustin's face. He ends up ripping a turnbuckle pad off. And he ends up throwing Dustin's head into the turnbuckle. And so we see QT Marshall ends up coming out with a towel. And Cody ends up coming out. And he ends up taking the towel himself. And he was talking to Dustin, saying that if he wants to continue the match. Dustin ends up telling him that he wants to continue. And then Lance Archer was shown dragging Dustin away from QT Marshall and Cody. And Archer was just shown slamming Dustin's head into the canvas a couple of times. So Archer ended up doing that. He ended up covering Dustin. And there you go. Lance Archer ended up winning the match. Archer will be advancing to the finals. He will be taking on Cody for the TNT Championship at Double or Nothing, crowned the first ever TNT champion. So post-match, we saw Lance Archer. He ends up staring down and smiling at Cody. And basically that was how Dynamite went off the air. And like I said, it was a very good match from Archer and Dustin. Seeing Dustin all bloodied up was pretty cool. But there you go. We have our match set up at Double or Nothing. It's going to be Archer versus Cody. And the winner will be the first ever TNT champion. As much as I want to see Darby Allin win the whole tournament, and it came to an end tonight with Cody pinning Darby Allin. So now, my pick for the TNT champion, first ever TNT champion, they're probably going to put it on Lance Archer. That's what I see them possibly doing. They're going to possibly be putting the TNT Championship on Lance Archer. And he's going to be the first ever to hold the title. I may be wrong on that. It may be Cody. maybe Cody could be the one who holds the title for the first time. So, but if I had to choose, my prediction is going to be Lance Archer. Lance Archer is going to be walking out of Double or Nothing, the first ever TNT champion. But anyways, that's it for the AEW Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until next video, which will possibly be the SmackDown review. So until then, I'll see you all Friday with the SmackDown review.